Hello, my name is Jim Wilson, aka Jimbei on YouTube and beyond. Yes, I hate that word. I hate that and beyond crap, so I threw that in there as a joke to the people who know me. Um, I have autism and Asperger's. Um, I work with a lot of people who also have the same condition and are possessed with a problem of being perceived as neurotypical as I am. And one of the things that we've been running into lately, the people that I've been working with and the people that I've been, that are in my autistic family, are the definitions of autism, how to recognize autism in others, and because of those two things, a great deal of the misdiagnosis that happens of autism spectrum disorder in people who have things like OCD and manic depression and depressive disorders. I participate in some BBS or bulletin board type groups, for you old school heads, that are places for people to discuss things between ourselves, between other Aspies and other autistics, and what we find is that there are typically three categories, and they're very. My truncated definition is people with both, so that's the easy one. People with sensory disorders only, and then people with social or logical thought disorder, or I should say, I don't want to say disorder because that's a big bone of contention for me. I don't like that phrase. I'm now bowing into the NT structure. I mean to say that we are not neurotypically confined in our thought process. And I actually think that our thought process is a bit more restrictive than the NT thought process. But I find that it's very much based on what is. Um, I'm going to say this early. The English language is very, very poor to me for expressing things like this. This is not an invitation to play semantic gamesmanship, to dial into semantic gamesmanship with me. I don't care about it. I don't care that you think that you feel sometimes that you might be autistic. You're not. Like, if you were, you'd know. You would definitely have outside signals. And I think that it's become sort of um, a very fashionable diagnosis. It is the cool way to say, I can say whatever I want, I'm an asshole, I don't fit in, and you can't say anything because I have autism. But not for nothing, I think most people that I've ever met that actually have autism and are recognizable really do care. The difference is that our behavior patterns don't allow for the insertion of ego. And what's really funny to me is that I think people misconstrue the difference between id ego and superego. And a lot of people who actually have autism spectrum disorder are confused of being highly egotistical. That's said to me a lot, and they go, well, you think you know everything. And I go, no, I think the things that I know are hard facts, and you cannot argue them away, and I will not submit them to being opinions. I know the difference between a fact and an opinion. I know the difference between a theorem and a hypothesis. And when you say that an opinion is a fact, I shut you down. When you try to shift the field of an argument, I will shut you down. And I will keep saying, but here is the fact of the matter. Here is the thing. So you can talk about how you feel about the thing and what you want the thing to be and what your expectation level is, and that's what NTs do. What I will consistently do is, but the fact is here. And that's very frustrating for NTs. NTs also have this desire. I don't have a desire for anything. I am. And as I've noticed, almost all autistic people are. That's not to say that I don't get upset, that I don't think things are funny, that I don't get frustrated. But anytime that any of those things happen, the facts are still the facts. Whether I'm laughing or giggling or crying or having having a fit of mania, this is still a YouTube video. The universe, water is wet, women have secrets, all the things that are the things are the same. NTs think that their feelings are facts. They say things like, oh, well, sometimes I think I have autism because I feel a certain way, or I don't like this thing, so blah, 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 blah. We find this most in depression. Depressives have this, well, I have this problem. So you tell them how to, and instantly every autistic person in the room will go, well, here is the solution. And then they will proceed to tell you the list of 25 reasons why they cannot enact the solution because a big bird might fly over and pick them up and take them to China, or their fingernail clippers are broken today, or or they might slip on a big red rubbery thing, or they didn't know the thing already. That's the big one. NTs need to already know the solution. I teach martial arts and I work with a lot of martial artists, and what I hear a lot is, I need to be in the building where we do the thing and exercise. I'm like, no, go out on the sidewalk and sprint. Oh, no, I can't do that. I have to go to the track. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can go play in the grass like every other little kid and every caveman that ever came before you. Oh, no, I guess I'll just stay fat. Well, then you didn't really want to not be fat. You wanted to play the, let me dress up like Barbie and play fitness game and be in the place with my Barbie fitness arena and my Barbie fitness gear and my, you know what I mean? You didn't want to be skinnier. You didn't want to be in better shape. You didn't want to improve your health, your cardiovascular, your VO2 max level or any of that. You just wanted to pretend to be doing the fitness. Nobody cares about that. Nobody autistic. I'm sorry. We just don't. I consistently find myself in arguments about how to not be autistic. Oh, you're just lazy. You don't like to do that thing. That all sounds cute, but there are certain things my brain does not as well as other people's. One of them is organization. So yes, my apartment is always a mess unless I pay someone to clean it. But what people don't understand is no amount of effort has ever stopped my apartment from being a mess. I spent days in a row cleaning my apartment, and what I'm really doing is just moving messes around because I have a problem with executive decision making. When I need something to be what it is, the most frustrating thing for me is to hear how it's a perspective, it's an opinion. The word opinion is one of the most misused NT words. They think it means what you think about something. No, opinions are experiential. If you have not experienced a thing, you do not have an opinion about it. I'm not saying you aren't allowed to have an opinion on it. You do not have an opinion on it. That's what the word means. I had this experience, and here are my thoughts. If you think that the food sucks in a place that you've never eaten, that's not an opinion. You don't get to think whatever you want about anything, and that's the sort of problem that NTs have. You can think whatever you want. It doesn't change reality. Not even experiential reality. But what people say a lot of the time, and I'm not saying everyone, and I'm not saying all NTs. I'm talking about clearly in this video, I'm venting about problematic situations. What they think that the proper thing or an acceptable thing to do is say, here is my prejudgment, please accept it as fact or as valid, or as valid as your explanation of your actual experience. This allows for, well, I'm gonna use my favorite phrase, mental fuckery. The amount of mental fuckery is so vast, especially when somebody's trying to be something. I want to be autistic. It's like people want to be autistic. They wake up and they go, this is what I need to be, because being manic depressive isn't so much fun. it's very akin to the behavior of a person who self-medicates with hard drugs because they have an unpopular diagnosis or chemical imbalance or hormonal imbalance that they don't want to deal with. I spent a couple of days trying to advise someone that perhaps they should get their hormone levels looked at so they could see what the next step was. And I was told every reason under the sun why that wasn't necessary. I just need to keep accepting that these drugs that I've been complaining about ad infinitum for months were the best solution. That idea that you know the best solution when you're having a complaint is retarded to me. You can't know the best solution if it's still a problem for you. And if someone says, "Hey, try this thing that you've never tried before," and you're not ready to hear, and you need to argue that, "Oh no, I'm doing this thing and I'm fine," then you should have never opened your mouth in the first place. I've never complained about not hitting my funny bone or not falling down a flight of stairs in my lifetime. So if something's not a problem, I tend to keep my mouth shut and not bitch about it. Another thing that we've been dealing with is certainty. People confuse certainty with arrogance. I know a thing, and therefore my confidence in my knowledge of this thing or my awareness of this thing makes me an egomaniac or whatever. No, I just know that there are facts in the universe, and you can correct me by showing me a white paper, showing me a definition of a word where I'm incorrect. You can inform me that I'm misinformed, and I will immediately change my stance. The difference is when you argue from an emotional basis, or you argue with the type of argument that says, "I'm saying left and you're saying right, and my way is equally as valid as yours." No, the church is either to the left or the right. One of us is correct and the other one is not. There is no such thing as agreeing to disagree. There are the facts in the universe, and that means that there is the guy who, if there are two people saying divergent things about a subject, there is the guy that is right and there is everything else. That's it. There is the fact and everything else. Everything else doesn't get a fair shake or have as much weight or any of that because it makes you feel better or cuddly inside. And that's not arrogance. That is the way that the word facts works. I've got a friend here with me, and I'm going to ask him what I'm missing about what's been going on lately. He's not on the autism spectrum, by the way. He's helping rankle my insanity.
Honestly, I think that the biggest thing that's missing is just that people seem to think that they can do whatever they want and not suffer the consequences for it. They think that having a disorder or a disease or whatever you want to call it is carte blanche to say and do whatever you want. And they get offended when you say, "Hey, you're being an asshole. Quit it."
Absolutely. I started this video by saying I was going to focus on several things, and I've mostly thus far focused on the Asperger's or verbal intellectual side of affairs. I believe that Asperger's is largely misdiagnosed. I've said this. I believe also that most of the diagnosis for Asperger's is, "Oh, you're one of the talky autistics." I have met nonverbal Asperger's people. I have met but they typically have sensory overload issues, so they're typically dual diagnosed, or what I would refer to as a dual diagnosis. And I'm going to hammer on the cult of the MD or the cult of the doctor real quick. I have seen so many misdiagnoses. I work in a center for autistic kids. I go to parents' houses and I speak with them about the condition. I try to explain the condition as well as I can. I'm not much of a solo orator, but in conversation I do pretty well. Um, and what I try to explain to parents time and time and time and time again is that you have been misled about what this condition is or how it operates. Um, And it's very hard to explain a sensory condition to someone who doesn't have it. It's like trying to explain sound to the deaf. You can talk about pictures coming into your ears for until you're blue in the face. But when I try to explain to people that I don't think in the English language, hence all of this stuttering and stammering that I do in these videos, they find it very hard to understand, and then they want to associate it to something that they know, and I try to explain to them that it's nothing that you know. The closest thing that you might say is it's a cross between a smell and an emotion, so imagine what that might be. um, it's nothing that you can say because I don't think in coined little words, and therefore I don't need everything to be iconized for me. When I as an outward example of how this might affect my personal behavior, I go to restaurants and I never order on the menu. I don't give a crap what you put on your piece of paper. Do you have these 5 things? Yes, put them together and put heat on them, and that's what I want to eat right now. I don't want to eat your whatever. I want the chicken sandwich with tartar sauce on it. I want what I want. I want that particular sensory experience. And that's why people find that a lot of, especially young autistic people, have such food issues. But also that's why some of them become great friggin' chefs, because they know exactly their tongue is on 15 and yours is on 8, and they know exactly what they want. That's why they become great musicians, because they hear between the notes where somebody is off by just a couple of hertz that drives them so crazy that they're going to play perfectly. And it's not because they practice more, it's because as they're hearing the note they can bend it, and the difference is clear and obvious to us. And so on and so forth with visual art, whatever. Um, I'm saying this to make people understand that our detection filter is different than yours. And now I'm just talking about sensory issues. The way I experience a shower and the way you experience a shower is completely different. I don't have the conceptualization of what you mean by a stream of water. There's a difference between, to me, the idea of having a squirt gun hit me, a bucket of water hit me, a glass of water hit me, are all such vastly different experiences, they don't even run together in my mind. It's rather like saying, oh, well, any liquid that I put in my mouth is Coke. No, it's not. And I can't, like, for instance, I can't drink because alcohol tastes like poison to me. It tastes like, literally, when I put it near my face, I think skull and crossbones and green gas clouds and weird things like that. It's repulsive because I can sense that it's not good for my body, and for the lack of a better thing to say. I don't wear cologne or perfume because the underlying, I don't know, the whale fat thing, whatever it's called. Huh?
The base.
Well, yeah, the base, but what's it called? There's a ambergris or something?
Yes.
Yeah, ambergris is so repulsive to me that I don't even smell the variance in the smell between one perfume and the next. I don't. I smell that underlying smell. A great example is in food. I can't eat anything made of curdled milk. No ranch dressing, no blue cheese, no Roquefort, no cottage cheese, no yogurt is, like opening. It's like opening a gaseous cloud to me. It's like a can of tear gas. You just get me to run out of the room by opening a yogurt. The same thing happens with fingernail polish. It smells so toxic and poison to me that I can't believe people could just sit around with it on their person, inhaling it as it dries. I would rather be beaten with a sword. And yes, I know that sounds retarded. The people who think that they're autistic or they might be a little autistic. If you've never not eaten for a couple of days because your mouth couldn't handle it, no, you're not. If you've never not showered before because you couldn't stand to be hit by a million pieces of water right now, because that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a thing. It feels like 10 million things a second happening to me. My friends think that I'm very, very fast. And I guess in a way that I am because I perceive things faster than they do. I perceive more things per second than they do. I'm capable of driving down the street, eating a sandwich, singing something, and I never miss one girl's fat butt. I never miss one piece of scenery. I see everything in my scope of vision all at the same time and all of the details of it. To the point where my memory sucks because I can't retain that much information. My ability to take a snapshot sort of makes me lazy-brained because I can't justify storing all that crap. Down to the difference in, oh, there's two mud flaps and one of them is faded in the corner and a little bit more worn down. I notice all the things all the time, and I might spend I might lose myself just staring at them. I've spent half an hour to 3 hours staring at the cereal aisle because I don't want to make a decision. And I'm going, hey, look at all the yummy cereals. And I can play back in my head how they all taste. So this concept of when I have someone come through that has manic depression going, oh, woe is me, I don't fit into society, so I'm going to claim to be whatever I think is the hip diagnosis of the moment, it drives me nuts. And the idea that I also need to be some non-communicative, drooling child for me to have a hard time functioning in normal society is a problem. People do this thing where they say, oh, you're fine because I don't see your issue. And I'm like, you don't follow me around enough. You don't see the days when I can't force myself to get out of bed. And it's not depression. It's I feel the gravity or the air. And I know that if I go outside, there's going to be so much light hitting my brain all at the same time and so many noises. And when I can smell whether or not a woman is on her period or, has bathed recently, or that she's ingested something in the last 24 hours, like yogurt, that I have no desire to go anywhere near her face. And then people go, oh, well, why don't you like kissing or whatever? Or, oh, why don't you like going out with a bunch of people who have been drinking? Because you smell like poison. If you choose to smell like poison, I, in my soul, fight for your right to do so. If you, want to light cactuses on fire and wear them like maracas and hats or whatever, I don't care. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't impact me on a very visceral level. Smelling the wrong thing to me is worse than being punched in the face. And it's one thing to say that, and it sounds glib, and it sounds like I'm, and I've heard a lot of people, oh, you're just making excuses. Just do the thing anyway. And I'm like, that's rather like saying, don't breathe in and out, or don't fall asleep when you're tired, or, I don't know, learn to fly, to me. And it's a component of our society that whenever you have a failing or something that is perceived as a shortcoming, that is a direct result of your choice not to put in enough effort. Autism is not effort-based. It is not something I choose to be on Thursdays. It is something that kicks me in my ass in the middle of Thursday for no good reason and at no predictable moment. And I've had people tell me, oh, that sounds like a superpower, or this, that, and the other thing. I go, trust me, it's not. We need to start as a group of people defining what we are and what we go through, defining how we know when you aren't us. And that moves me on or back onto intellectual issues. The way that you deal with problems, the things that concern you, the points of your arguments and the style in which you use to get at your point are how I can tell whether or not you have Asperger's. Not whether or not you get mad. It's not a disconnect from emotionality. It's not, wow, emotionality is not a word. I just decided it was right then. It's not a disconnect from an emotional state. It's a decision on an NT's part to claim to be something that they're not, because it's very popular to be Mr. Me Too. People feel like, well, to use a very obvious example, I'm a very large black person. I love to hear when rich or well-off white people go, oh, I have all the same social problems that you do. No, you don't. You're not a 400-pound black dude in America. That's not you. If you're not, you don't know what that is. And if you approach me as a woman and go, well, I kind of understand what you're saying because I've been shut out of jobs and stuff, I'll accept that. But when you say that your experience is exactly the same as mine, and you're some hot female, no, it's not. And by that same token, it's not the same when you try to use what you think is the hip diagnosis of the year or the decade or whatever, or of the moment. I've been autistic my whole life. I have been institutionalized and incarcerated for it. And without a charge or anything in particular other than I just don't fit in. That's not okay. And it's not something that I want to be or desire to be, but it is something that I am and I will deal with. So we don't play PC games. And please start to try to recognize when you're invading on space and encroaching on something that you aren't. It's not gonna hurt my feelings if you call me a name or if you think that you're like that. I'm just making you aware of what the reality of what it is you're doing if you're a person that is self-diagnosed or misdiagnosed, or you read some article or you took some online test and you think you know that you're like me. It's so easy for me in one argument to spot the difference between a person who has Asperger's and a person who doesn't. And the fact that that's very simple is always going to be lost on a person who's neurotypical, which is great. I wish I was neurotypical half the time because life would be easier for me. I don't have a girlfriend because I'm too direct. I don't know how to pretend to like the same things that you like. I don't know how to have the right look on my face at the right moment to convince her that I'm the right match or that I think the right things or whatever. I cannot sit through the inane pop pseudo music that is out all the time and go, oh yeah, that guy's really cool, and nod my head. I need to actually go find good music. I need to actually go find a good movie. I need to experience a thing. I need to be having fun, not sitting in a bar watching someone else do it on television every Sunday. I need to go play the football game or whatever it is, or the guitar solo. And we don't live in that world anymore. We live in the world of the belfie and, it's a butt selfie. That's what that is. My friend made a face. And that's a commodity. I don't understand that. I can't connect to it. It's not real. And when you try to make your imaginary world the real world, that's where I have a failing, and that's where you have a superpower. NT people have the luxury of living in their own imaginations. They have the luxury of watching the Real Housewives of whatever and thinking that that's important, or Love and Hip Hop, or Bridezillas. The concept of a Bridezilla is an NT shrine to magnificence to me. Oh, all the things didn't fit this imaginary scenario that I've had since I was 15. So, do you have a person that will take care of you and loves you and will do stuff for you? That's not important. The cake's wrong. Oh, I didn't realize that was what life was about. I don't get it. And by that token, you may see things that you recognize as similarities between us. And you may say, oh, he doesn't have it that bad. Or, because I don't have an arm cut off or a leg cut off or whatever. But my world and your world are very, very different, and I don't know how to live in yours. That's why we need groups where we can interact with one another and talk to one another and try to get hints from our own perspective. And we don't need them crowded by people with OCD or depression, which is largely what we see. And I don't have a problem with people having depression. What I have a problem with is people's intellectual dishonesty and with their inability to go cope with their unpopular or unhip diagnosis or whatever they think. Deal in the real. Go get your tests done. Do what it is you need to do. Find out what it is you actually have. And assault that problem. Make it not a problem. When I train my fighters, if they have a bad left hook, that's all they throw until they have a great left hook. That's how you fix life. Not by denying that your problem is your problem and treating some other problem that you don't even have. Or pretending to be in a club that you're not, that no one wants admission to. No one chooses what I have. And you can say, oh yeah, well you have a very high IQ and blah, 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 and you're so well spoken and say lots of cute things like that. But at the end of the day, when I get shut down hard. And you don't want it. You're not built for it. And I don't believe that I'm just speaking for myself, although I can't testify to that. I can't swear that I am, but I can't prove it. That's the thing. It's you can't prove. I don't care what I can't prove. There's what you can prove and what you know. And what you know is always bigger. I can't even prove my own existence. If anybody out there really knows anything about philosophy, but I'm not going to get into that. And I think that as people who are admins, as people who deal in our world, we need to stop allowing these politically correct mind games to be allowed to be a thing. We need to stand up and go, wrong, stop it, no, every time they, but maybe, no. Not maybe, not kinda, not sorta, not, oh, well, you didn't prove, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Stop talking. You're not right. You don't have autism. These are not facts. Your feelings are not facts. And yes, I know I'm a dick. Don't care. I care about facts. I don't care about your feelings about the facts. Your feelings about the facts should be wonderful, no matter who you hear them from. I got in some crap today where I said a thing, but because I was a male, I wasn't allowed to say a thing. Or because I'm black, or because I'm white, or because I'm too smart, or too stupid, or well, black guys aren't allowed to be smart. You know how many times I hear that? 400-pound black dudes aren't allowed to be smart? I got to talk like this, boss, and, maybe you could let me off the green miles, y'all? I don't get equal treatment just because I talk like this. I don't talk like this because I'm trying to be anything. I talk like this because this is the amount of stuff that I read, and it sticks in there somewhere. I grew up reading Isaac Asimov and, Paul Anderson, and they talked like this, so it stuck in my head. And comic books, a lot of comic books. So I know that the lighted up gold stuff is coming up. I'm not really trying to intersect any of this with any of that, except to the point of we need to start being real. We need to stop being beta and cowed, and we need to start informing and being active about what autism is, who we are, and how come, yes, I know that you don't have what I have. And no, I can't prove it, but I shouldn't have to. And keep the people who feel the need to argue out of their ego or out of their position of what they, of their social expectation or what they would desire to be the truth, especially out of the groups, especially out of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and the ones that, you know, the people that I respect, like Mr. Greeley and you know, and Zandra and all the other, and Miss Crosby are nice enough to admin for us. Because I admin just 2 groups and it wears me the hell out. And I very rarely say anything. I'm very behind the scenes. But I'm tired of hearing that I don't get to have an autistic perspective. I'm tired of hearing that an autistic perspective doesn't take everyone's feelings and emotions into consideration. No, it doesn't. It takes what is into consideration. I'm not here to kiss your butt. I am the most avid activist for equal rights. But I also think that sometimes that means bitches get choked out because they want to fight. If you want to be ignorant and stick your hand into a thresher, you get mauled. If you choose to treat everyone with dignity and respect, that's exactly what you get. The sexism thing is getting very big. And I'm talking about this misandry, this you know, this reverse misogyny, this idea that females get to say whatever they want, but the second a male opens his mouth, how dare he? Or, you know, and the 2 groups that I moderate focus on sexual issues. So if a male says something about female sexuality or female anatomy, he must not know because he doesn't have that part. Well, that's not really logical and the way that things work. Because that would mean no doctor ever could treat a woman if he was not a female. And this concept that, oh, I got female parts, so I know better than you. I'm sure you have a kidney too, but I bet you can't tell me exactly how it works. You know? Or your, it's anything. Jesus, your nervous system, maybe how muscles contract. You probably don't know any of those things. Tell me how your eye takes in information and transmits it to the brain. Oh, you can't. So that means I can tell you something that you don't know. And that someone telling you something that you don't know isn't necessarily preaching to you. They were trying to help you by giving you information. If you don't want to hear it, don't say it in a public forum. Don't air your problems in a public forum if you don't want them helped. Especially one, or if you don't want suggestions on alternatives. Especially one populated by people with ASD. If you tell us there was a hole in the boat, we will fix the hole in the boat or tell you how to fix the hole in the boat. The second time, we don't want to hear it. But I already told you, do the thing, fix the hole in the boat. That's all we're going to say. We don't want to hear why you can't do it ad infinitum. Yes, I'm ranting. This is a lot of pent up stuff, and feel free to try to reply in a civil manner. If you reply in a non-civil manner, one of 2 things will happen. I'll just ignore you and delete it, or I'll tear into you if I really get, if you annoy me and you don't want that. I don't believe that there's any such thing on this planet as equality. We don't all have the same IQ. All of our thoughts are not equal. We're not all just as smart and just as good as one another. I have things I'm really bad at, and so do you. And what I do believe is that we can all help each other, or we can all sit around and try to tear each other down. I choose to try to do the former as much as humanly possible, What's really been annoying me lately is this culture of doing the latter. This culture of saying, oh, you can't say anything, you can't think this, you can't think that because you don't have these parts, you're not this color, you're not this whatever. It's all garbage. I don't care what country you come from, who your parents were. We all learned in kindergarten, don't be a cunt. Please stop with the cuntery. Please stop with the mental fuckery and deal in the real. I'm going to put on my forehead, deal in the real. To the people that know me, oh yeah, I went there. And to the people that don't know me, I'm gonna say this again because I know it's been forgotten since the first time I said it. I don't care if I said something grammatically incorrect. The English language is garbage anyway. The idea that it's perfect and that there's some perfect way to do it is so laughable to me that I don't care. I promise you, you're not smarter than me, and you're not going to school me in anything. Even if you are. How I say what I say is irrelevant. Stick to what I say. I don't parrot what is socially correct or whatever. This is how I feel, and this is the mood that I'm in. So, and I specifically made this video at this time for this reason. It's because it was on my mind. It was bugging me. Normally, I'm a very happy-go-lucky kind of cross between Tigger and Winnie the Pooh, but I'm drained of my energies because of this mishigosh surrounding my condition. I'm tired of being told that what you want to think I am is what I am. That I'm a drug dealer, that I'm a this, that I'm a whatever. So dial it back, keep your fantasy world inside your head, and deal in facts and what we know. And let's all deal in facts and what we know. That's what tears us apart, when the facts don't match what your expectations are. That's when you experience something called cognitive dissonance. Look it up. Autistic people don't tend to suffer that because we just take what is as what is. Whether we like it or not, we still respect that it is. I might hate something that's going on, but I'm not going to try to pretend that it's not just because I don't like it or don't want it to be. Learn the difference, please. Feel free to comment. I don't really care about subscribers and do all of that stuff where it's done. You know where it's done. And I do take correction, and I do accept free thought. So please, feel free to express yourself in a simple manner. Thanks.